Mickey and Tinny fall for each other during their friend's bachelor trip. Everything goes great for them, till his family becomes a huge part of Tinny's life, and she has a problem with it. Jyoti feels very good about herself as she walks in and people check her out. Even the signs on the board in Gurugram tell her that she deserves better. From a distance, Manu guides a psychic about what exactly she needs to say to Jyoti. She's happy with her life, unaware that there are actors all around trying to make sure she feels good. Her boyfriend, Kunal, has hired a professional to break up with her, but seems nervous about the process. Mickey assures him that he has spent a lot of money to help Jyoti think she herself needs a break from him. He knows that with increased Instagram followers and random people noticing her, Jyoti will feel like she's at the top of her game. But Mickey still wants an assurance from Kunal about his decision, and asks him to take an oath. Kunal seems sure, so Mickey asks everyone working for him to set the plan in motion. Kunal nervously walks towards Jyoti, and politely suggests that things have changed between them. Everyone who works for Mickey holds their breath in anticipation of her answer. Sure enough, Jyoti completely agrees to mutually break up with him so they can both live a better life. As they hug, Mickey comes out of the shadows to rejoice in his victory of orchestrating yet another successful breakup. All the actors get paid their promised amount, and Mickey is free to celebrate this success with his brother Manu. He's proud of getting paid to break up unhappy couples in a cordial manner. He thinks love happens too many times, and he's just helping out. Mickey's mother, Mrs. Arora, isn't too happy about him waking up late and making their family business suffer. Despite her screams, Mickey assures is confident that the losses they have shown are only on paper to save taxes in their business. This makes Mrs. Arora angrier, since she thinks their reputation is ruined. She also feels no one would want to marry her son if they think he doesn't have money. Mickey's niece, Sweetu, is more worried about the value of her shares in the company, since she doesn't want any losses and wants to invest in her friend's app. When they keep resisting, Mickey and Manu get tight slaps from Mrs. Arora and agree to change their statement. Mickey gets a call from a client who wants to break up with his wife. They are strongly against breaking up a home and judge the man for being shameless. Mickey still feels Manu is the ideal husband material, since he's not able to let his fiancée Kinchai know that he wants his bachelor's trip to be just about the boys. Kinchai is tagging along, and there's nothing they can do. They come across another client on the call who wants a discount, but Mickey is confident that they're a monopoly in this market, and people need to respect their art. When Manu points out that they're spending more money than they're earning on these breakups, Mickey is still confident, since he feels this business is a service to mankind. Also, they're already very rich because of their family business. Manu then gets a shocking call about their grandfather's passing. Kinchai is all over the place at the ceremony before the funeral, and is comforting everyone present. Manu heads to a corner and cries because he doesn't think he can go through with the wedding. He knows she loves him too much, and he can't handle that much emotion. Mickey still convinces him to think again at the funeral. As Kinchai still seems overdramatic, Manu is sure he wants to break up with her, and transfers money to Mickey so he can help him out as a professional. Mickey knows he can't refuse once the money is in, and decides to talk to Kinchai. Nervous about what he needs to say in such a situation, Mickey ends up praising Kinchai a lot, and informing her that she deserves someone much better than Manu. Manu isn't happy with Mickey's efforts, and wants some results. Mickey makes him take the same oath he usually does, to ensure the person is sure about the breakup. Since this sounds too controversial, Sweetu tries to pocket some money for her silence. When Mickey is sure Manu is serious, he starts thinking of a delicate and layered plan, based on his understanding of a woman's expectation from a relationship. He knows their lies need to be believable enough for everything to work out right, and he's clearly very passionate about doing this. Manu doesn't care what the plan is, as long as it's successful. It's time for the bachelor's trip, where Kinchai and her friend are also joining them. Her friend doesn't turn up, so the three of them end up taking the flight. Mickey isn't too happy about her tagging along, which even Kinchai realizes, and offers to stay in a separate room so the boys can have fun. Manu then gets a call from someone, after which he takes them to a club. Mickey and Kinchai seem clueless about what's going on, and Manu just asks them to trust his plan. Kinchai's friend Tinny makes a grand entrance and surprises her with a dance. From the first time he looks at her, Mickey is mesmerized, and wonders why he hasn't met her before. He tries to dance with her, and can't seem to take his eyes off her. Manu knows the look too well, and asks Mickey to focus on his breakup instead. But Mickey's priorities have changed, and he has no intention of breaking them up anymore. He decides to pursue Tinny, and assures an anxious Manu that he'll help him later with his divorce if needed. Mickey runs to her room and knocks. He wants to make sure she's single, but they're interrupted by Kinchai, who doesn't want Mickey hitting on her friend. This brief interaction is enough for Mickey to start imagining a life with her, even if Tinny hasn't said much at this point. He waits for her at breakfast, and watches her filling her plates with too much food. She's clearly very hungry, but this is enough for Mickey to declare that he's in love with her. Tinny thinks he's being desperate, but he is not backing out now. He finds her again on the beach and directly asks if she wants to hook up with him or fall in love. Even for a hookup, she wants someone who's worthy of her. She's also realistic and knows love doesn't happen on random vacations like this. To convince her, he starts listing out how handsome, successful, and rich he is. She knows he's a spoilt brat, the kind of person she can't stand, since she respects the people who work hard to earn what they have. Tinny doesn't directly say it, but lets him know nothing can happen between them. But this doesn't mean she doesn't know how to have fun, and flirts with Mickey a little by asking him to come for a drive with her the next day. They're playful and have fun with each other, and even do a sort of a role play, since they easily match each other's vibe. Mickey sits in the car with her on the beautiful day, and still can't take his eyes off her. They have ditched their friends to have some fun, but he doesn't care. When they reach a bar, he tries to get to know her better. After a few rounds of drinks, she warms up to him too. With every passing moment, he feels she seems more beautiful. She is too drunk, and even laughs at his lame jokes. It's now time for a romantic walk on the beach, where Tinny calls him a con man for his constant flirting. He thinks she's a liar because he knows she likes him, but won't admit it. The night turns even more romantic for them, and they find a cabin where they can spend the night together. The next morning, he is even more in love, but she feels she was clear this was just a hookup. She thinks he should be satisfied with the sex and stop chasing her. But now he's insulted, and feels like she doesn't understand his feelings. They find Manu and Kinchai again, but Mickey has turned into a depressed lover who feels used. He starts ranting about how no one cares about love anymore, and feels unheard by her. Manu and Kinchai are frustrated with him, and beg Tinny to say anything just to shut him up. After a long time, Tinny asks him to stop being dramatic and ask her out properly. He goes all in and promises to be with her forever. He also knows only she can break his heart, and not the other way round. The rest of their trip is spent with Mickey and Tinny enjoying the honeymoon phase of their relationship. They run around, explore the place, and can't seem to get enough of each other. When they're back from the vacation, Mickey decides to introduce her to his family. Tinny is courteous and beautiful, and wins them over with her personality. But his mother and sister take him aside to make sure he hasn't forced her to dress a certain way just to impress them. They know they have raised him right, to not tell his girlfriend what to do. Tinny easily fits right into their family, and learns some stories from his grandma about how she wore a bikini just like hers for a vacation with Mickey's grandfather. Tinny feels embarrassed about his family checking her vacation pictures, but they try to make her feel comfortable. During dinner, she is glad to be with someone who keeps praising her. It's Kinchai and Manu's wedding day, but he isn't too happy to be there. When Tinny spots her parents, Mickey also follows her, excited to finally meet her family. But she gets nervous and introduces him as just a friend. She hasn't told her family about their relationship yet, because she knows they won't accept a vacation romance as something serious yet. Mickey understands, but his mother doesn't, who is even more excited to meet her family. When they all turn around to look at her, Tinny knows her secret is out. Mrs. Arrow realizes a little too late that she has created an awkward situation, and decides to get a drink. After the function, Tinny's family feels like she should have warned them about Mickey, so they didn't have to be put in a spot. But they still want to know more about him. Even if owning many businesses makes him seem spoiled, Tinny stands up for him and defends him for the person he is. They all eventually agree that his family seems decent, and even her mother approves of him. Mickey is very much in love, and wants to meet her all the time. He asks her out for a date, and when she turns up, she is clearly not happy that he brought his family along too. But she is polite, and decides to play along for the movie. On the way to her gynecologist one day, they bump into his sister, who insists they don't need to go too far and calls up her family gynecologist for an appointment. On another occasion, she is finally excited about getting a proper date with him, but he again takes her straight to his kitchen, where his father starts teaching her a secret recipe. They're always hanging out with the family, and can't even get intimate without his mother knocking frantically on the door. One night, Tinny is running late, but Mickey wants to spend more time with her, and doesn't want her to leave. She jokes about how he can afford to wake up early, but since she's doing a proper job, her increment and salary all depend on her arriving on time. His parents decide to joke about her quitting her job and taking a salary from them, which she politely dismisses with a smile. Mrs. Era has another unpleasant surprise for her, and starts showing her the renovation designs she has planned for when Mickey and Tinny decide to get married. She has already thought of some changes they can make to the existing house for the couple, and any future kids they might have. This is a conversation even Tinny hasn't had with him yet, and she starts feeling overwhelmed, but consciously decides to not say anything at that point. The drive home is very long and hard for her, especially since she feels numb with the idea of dealing with his interfering family. When Mickey calls her in the office for a date that night, she still doesn't feel anything. Unaware of what's going on around him, he happily drives up for dinner with the woman he loves. On the way, he gets a call from a woman who feels stuck in a relationship and wants his most expensive package. Mickey is a professional and very good at his job, and explains to her how the breakup will work. At this point, Tinny isn't aware that she called her own boyfriend to break her up, and neither is he that his latest client is his own girlfriend, who is using a different number to make this call. There's chaos in Mickey's house as they prepare for Tinny's family to come over, but he feels happy about how perfectly she fits into his life. He then gets a call from Tinny posing as his client, who informs him about her meeting with her boyfriend's family that day itself, and is getting anxious about how close they're reaching to her wedding. Unable to make this connection, Mickey suggests a plan and asks her to put pressure on the guy's family to consult an astrologer. If everything is good between them, Mickey will hire a fake astrologer for her, who will inform the family that they shouldn't be together. Hoping this works, Tinny agrees to execute with the plan. When she cuts the call, Mickey judges the client for not valuing love and compares her life to his. He feels very happy with where he is in his life, and with Manu, he makes fun of the poor guy their client is going to break up with, who clearly has no idea. When Mickey looks at Tinny, he doesn't have any doubt that she loves him too. Her family suggests consulting an astrologer, and when Mrs. Arora calls one up, they're all excited to learn that Mickey and Tinny are a perfect match. When everyone including Mickey is celebrating, Tinny goes to make a call from a separate room. He gets a call from his client, who is panicking about the astrologer thinking they're a perfect match, and wants him to do something about it. The timing finally feels strange to Mickey, who tries to see any signs of unhappiness from her when she comes out of the room, but can't spot anything. That night, he paces and wonders if his client could actually be his girlfriend. Manu has his doubts too, and they decide to strategically ask her for her boyfriend's details for the purpose of surveillance. When she gives him his own details, Manu can't get over the hilarity of the situation, even when Mickey starts thinking his life is over. He never expected something like this from his own relationship, and desperately wants to know the reason she wants to break up with him. When he tries asking her as a professional, she's not willing to give the reason yet. He's still frustrated and hurt, and feels like everything is just a game for her. But he doesn't want to give up yet, and decides to use this information to play a game with her too. As a professional, he suggests that she needs to conduct a jealousy test on her boyfriend. Tinny dresses up to meet an actor in a cafe to discuss their plan of action. When Mickey arrives, the actor comes out of nowhere and inappropriately touches and flirts with her. They're pretending to be old friends who are very close, and do everything to make Mickey jealous. But he already knows the plan, and lets them do their dance, while he casually waits and eventually leaves after making an excuse about work. Even the actor thinks Mickey is a great guy, but Tinny is upset her plan didn't work. When she calls him, he suggests a loyalty test as their next plan. Mickey turns up at her place to find her friend Anya, who will have to spend some time with him while Tinny goes for work. She prays hard before leaving, and hopes he cheats on her. But inside the house, Anya tries her best to get cozy with Mickey, who is very immune to her charms. When she doesn't stop trying, and leans in to kiss him, he decides to take an emotional route and assures her that she will find someone better. Pretending to be offended that he rejected her, she goes and calls Mickey from another room, since he has hired her, and informs him that the loyalty test isn't working because the guy is amazing and very faithful. She starts doubting Tinny now, and wants to inform Mickey about her, but this isn't according to the plan, so he makes sure he asks Tinny to come back to the house on time. When Tinny finds Anya and Mickey standing close, she feels her plan has finally worked. But Anya curses her for doubting someone as nice as him, and confirms that Mickey didn't even come close to cheating. While trying on outfits for his wedding, Manu teases him about preparing for something he isn't sure will happen. He is truly upset now, and feels like he at least deserves an explanation about why she wants to end the relationship. Tinny feels lost amid all the wedding preparations. When she comes out of the shower, she hugs him and passionately kisses him. When he directly asks if she's happy with him, she just smiles. They both hug each other and cry, but don't let the other know about it. That night, Mickey is sure she still loves him, and is determined to find out why she wants to break up something so good. When Mickey is with Manu, and planning to find out the reason, he gets a call from Tinny as his client, who agrees to tell him the reason if he promises to break them up. She reveals that she loves him, but she can't live with his family. She wants a separate life with him, but knowing how important his family is to him, she can't ask him to choose, and wants to leave the situation without hurting anyone. As a professional, Mickey knows how badly she wants this, and asks her to take the oath. When he knows she's sure, he promises that he will make sure they break up. Manu sends an appointment letter to her on the day of their engagement, and asks her to forward it to her boyfriend. Fully in character, Mickey angrily enters her room and asks her to explain why she's taking a job away from the city. He throws in some regressive statements about women not needing to work after marriage, which offend Tinny, and she takes a firm stand about wanting to take the job. Mickey makes it very easy for her and breaks off the engagement. He takes all the responsibility on himself, so everyone thinks he is at fault. His family is angry at him, and they don't believe something went so wrong in just a day that he broke it off. He decides to stay quiet about it, and calls Tinny as the professional to confirm if the breakup happened. They both try to get back to their regular lives, but neither of them is happy. Kinchai gets pregnant, and both of them separately are very excited about their friends having a baby. It's time for Kinchai's baby shower, and Mickey and Tinny are nervous about meeting each other after a long time. They want to be good friends, so decide to be on their best behavior. When they finally meet, Mickey and Tinny exchange formal greetings. They discuss how crazy and paranoid their friends are acting since they found out about the baby. He apologizes for how they broke things off and hopes Tinny can forgive him. When she stays silent for a while, he asks about her life. She informs him about moving to London in a few days, since she doesn't want to stay there anymore. When he jokes about her fleeing the country to get away from him, things get normal between them, and they're back to being friendly again. After the rituals of the baby shower, the elderly ladies ask Tinny to entertain them. Mickey teases her about not being up for the task, so she has to prove him wrong. They decide to have a dance-off and entertain everyone around them. Towards end, her heel gets stuck somewhere and she falls and sprains her ankle. Mickey's family comes to her aid immediately and pamper her while taking care of her. Mickey wants to help too, but stays away, since he doesn't want to create a scene before her big move to London. That night, Sweetu feels upset about Mickey breaking up with her and informs Tinny that she had already accepted her as her aunt. She wants to confirm they won't get back together and asks Tinny to take the same oath Mickey asked her to take as a professional. From Sweetu, she learns that this is something Mickey and Manu do regularly. The next morning, she calls Mickey over to talk to her. Her bags are packed and she's ready to leave, but she wants to know if he loves her. When he pretends he doesn't, she asks him to take the same oath. Since now they both know everything about each other, Tinny is angry that he knew all along about her feelings and decided to play games with her instead of fighting for her. She confesses that she loves him and explains how difficult it was getting to be with his family. Mickey is hurt that she didn't discuss this directly with him, but they both finally decide to open up. While Tinny feels she has had horrible experiences with joint families growing up, Mickey insists that he only got her close to his family because he wanted them to love her as much as he does. He knows his family is not as controlling as she thinks and feels like if she gives it a chance, she would love to be loved by them. Mickey knows he will always love her, but can't choose between his family and her. She knows she will stay back if he just asks her, but he thinks it'll be unfair for both of them, and she might resent him later on in life if he forces her to be with his family now. He kisses her because he still loves her, but lets her go. Tinny calls his mother before leaving and clarifies everything that happened which led to the engagement. She thanks Mrs. Arora for everything and wants her to know that her son is an amazing man. When Mickey reaches home, his family is waiting to confront him, and they finally get him to reveal the real reason they broke up. Mrs. Arora feels like if Tinny wants a separate house, Mickey should be willing to give it to her. She knows how much her son loves her, and they all want him to be happy, even if he doesn't live in the same house as them. With his family by his side, Mickey knows he needs to stop Tinny from leaving, and they all decide to head to the airport. They even book tickets and collect their passports so they can get an easy entry. On their way, they start wondering why Tinny doesn't like them, and discuss instances where they possibly made her feel uncomfortable. When they reach the airport, Manu gets a slap for knowing about this all along and not telling anyone else in the family. With his family's help, Mickey manages to enter the airport so he can make a romantic gesture and stop her right on time. On their way, they keep justifying to each other why they chose to act the way they did with her. Ultimately, they all agree that even if they were too much for her to handle, they did it out of love for her. They're about to reach her when Tinny hears a final call for boarding and gets up. Mickey misses her just by a minute, but spots her gate and shouts out her name. Right before boarding, Tinny hears something and stops. The gate has closed and there's no sign of her, so Mickey assumes he has lost her again. Soon enough, Tinny comes out and faces all of them. While Mickey still feels numb, all his family members bend down on their knees in front of Tinny and confess their love for her. With tears in her eyes, Tinny looks at Mickey and smiles. With a gesture, she lets him know everything is good between them. They are finally reunited and share a beautiful kiss at the airport as his family cheers. Some time has passed, and they're now married and living with his family. There's still chaos and drama in the household, with Mrs. Arora screaming at both of them in the morning for not appreciating the food she cooks for them. Tinny is now very comfortable with the family and loves spending time with them. She is clearly their favorite, and when it comes to taking sides between the couple, they always choose her. When she finds out she's pregnant, everyone is excited, and they're there with her through every single phase. She realizes how great it is to have so many people take care of her, and the baby too, once it is born.